So I wanted to show how to make a template so that you can get simple and reliable mitred corners. Now, of course, I would always recommend that you support Nancy Siemens' company, and they have some fantastic templates on their site. However, if you need to do something before you can get them delivered in, I thought this might help. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate how to do this with first a 1-inch hem, and I'm doing it on paper here so that you can see how it works. Ultimately this would make a template. If you use card, you can make a permanent template, and then you would use this and put it on the fabric, and I will show that at the end. So I am in this case making a 1-inch, so what I want you to do is draw 3 lines. 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch. Okay. And then I want you to number them. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then do the same on this side. Oops, did 3 first, but it doesn't matter. And then okay. And then again, the same principle from the outside. 1, 2, 3. Okay. What I want you to do is circle the intersection of the 2 lines. That is your corner. Okay, so that is your corner there. So let me zoom in a bit. Okay. So now what I want you to do is fold along the bias so that you're doing a 45-degree and you're lining up those lines. You get a perfect 45-degree there. Okay, so that's nice and straightforward. So what I want to explain is this is the first fold, this is the second fold, and this will go underneath and be enclosed, and then you would stitch along here between, just on the inside of 2. 3 is a marking because of what I learned about what always went wrong with my mitred corners before. So when sewing a mitred corner, my assumption was always we have the point here and we would sew directly up at 90 degrees. That doesn't work. It actually leaves you with, the corner is perfect, but then you get extra fabric in here. And the reason is because you actually have to do this. So you go out towards line 3 on a 45-degree, and then you do another 45-degree from line 3 to line 2. So where you've got 2, 2, then you go to 3, 1, then you go to 1, 2. So if I renumber these, it'll make more sense. This is 1, this is 2, and that's 3. So this is 2, 2, where the line 2 intersects line 2. This intersection is at 1 and 3, and this one is basically at 0 and 2. So you end up with a triangle. Okay? What is important when you make this template is you mark that this is the fold and this is the open side. Okay? And when you do some trimming, you end up with a template that looks like this. Okay? And you can see I've marked there that they've got the fold, and then that's the open side. So this is the reverse of, that's how it works. So you can have one side or the other. So this one is the reverse side. So if you're to make a full open template, then you'd have to add more space in the middle, but I just do half, and then you do it always on the fold of the fabric. So if you were to do this again with a different seam allowance or hem allowance, you would just do the lines again, but in this case you would use, say for instance, 1/2 inch, and then you get a smaller. So I've marked this with 1 inch, which is the fold and which is the open side. So if you see here, on this side, that template fits perfectly for 1 inch, 1 inch. So what happens is, when you sew, this is actually the sewing line at this pointed triangle bit. Okay? So what you have to do is you would mark that and sew on that line, and then you would have to choose how much your trimming allowance would be on the inside, and I will show you that in a moment. So here I have my papers, and I will just make the template. There you go, one exciting template. So you have to remember that's the fold. Okay? So what I'll do is get a piece of fabric, and then we'll show you how this works. So here we have a piece of fabric, and all we're doing is demonstrating this. So you would want to mark it on the wrong side, so I'll flip it over. There's a bit of stabilizer there. And what you need to do is remember to fold the fabric on the bias. So there's your bias. We'll just squish that down so it holds and is perfectly square. And then what you can see is you've got a mark here for the fold and one for the open side. So what we know automatically is that's the wrong way because it doesn't fit on that side. So I need to mark that on the reverse side. But what you can see is it says fold there, open side. And what we would do is we would mark here, and I'm doing this in a pen so you can see, but you wouldn't normally do this. Okay. And what you'll end up with is a mark like that. Okay. Now, remember what I said, that is on the wrong side, or on the right side, so you wouldn't normally want to do it that way, but it doesn't matter for the purposes of this test. But just so the fabric ends on with the interfacing on the outside, I've marked it there. So what we would do is we'll stitch here, and then we will trim and snip, and I will show you what will happen. So we'll move over to the machine. One moment. Okay, so I have my Kenmore 158 1914 here, and I've got it in the center needle position. I'll just get rid of this because I had that set for 1 inch seam, and we'll put that in. Go to the corner, spin 90 degrees, okay, pull it out. Okay, now comes the important bit. You can choose what you want your seam allowance. I would go with something like 1/4 of an inch. Just keeps it from unraveling. And you do it into the point, and then do a little snip inwards like that. So you end up with a... Okay, now what happens is you just spin this around. Okay, get a pointer, a pair of scissors or something. And what you can see is you've got a perfect corner. But what's more important is what's happening on this corner in here. Okay, because of the way you've got it, the way you've sewn it, when you fold the bottoms back, you will end up with a perfect, it just folds under to the correct seam allowance, so a 1-inch seam allowance. So what happens is when you're ready to go, okay, that is already in place, and you just fold it down and your seams will automatically fold to 1 inch. And then when you stitch it, you'll see it works perfectly. So I'll put a little pin in there so you can see I'm not telling you porkies. You can see it, oops. Be good if my pinning was better, but anyway, it's absolutely spot on what I've told you. There's your perfectly mitred corner. And it's automatically created the 1-inch seam without any work whatsoever. And from this side, a little pressing and away you go.